This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Viterbi Voices. As usual, I am one of your hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma, Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And hey, everybody, I'm Maya, your other co-host, a current senior studying industrial and systems engineering here at Viterbi. Going into my last semester, it's been a while, Paul.
Yeah, technically it's your last semester. This is officially our first episode of 2024. There's so many things to get caught up on. First off, before we get into the doom and gloom of your ending of the college career, let's get into how was your winter break?
Winter break is great. I'm actually, as we're recording this, I'm still at home in Wisconsin. So it's been very relaxing. Pretty fun at the beginning traveling. I went to Mexico and New York, and I've just been
that's right.
I've just been hanging out at home for a while now. So it's
How
been
was Mexico?
A bit of everything. It was beautiful. Like absolutely wonderful. It was great to be there with my roommates. Definitely spoiled me. I feel like I need this after every finals week, but now I guess I only have one more finals week technically. So
that's exciting. When do you come back to campus?
Sunday. So as this Sunday. I feel like this podcast will probably be released by the time I'm
this one is probably want to set this to release before you leave.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Great. Good. Well, very, very cool. Welcome back. Your last semester as an undergraduate college student. Has it set in yet? Are we excited? Are we scared? Are we everything in between?
Everything all at once. Yeah. Definitely excited. I think with classes, just in general, like it can be a grind. Like it's a lot of hard work. So I'm excited to have extra time to devote to other hobbies and like a career. But then also, I don't want to leave my friends, and like USC is a really fun place to be. So I'm torn, kind of in between, but I haven't been thinking about it too much, to be completely honest. So it'll probably hit me in a couple months.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I'm excited to have you come back. I'm excited to have your last semester here. It will be a big one. It'll be a great one. Enjoy every minute of it because it definitely goes faster than you could possibly imagine. And commencement is only February, March,
Gosh,
April,
you have a countdown
going. 4 months away. 4 months away. In 4 months, you will be done with classes.
That's insane. Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Crazy. Paul, is that a Bitmoji on your shirt?
No. This is a reference to a movie that you've probably never seen and you don't know what it is.
No, I don't actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. I could tell you.
Okay.
It's a
awesome.
very special film, but it's a little before your time.
Gotcha. How was your break?
Oh, my break was very relaxing. There was a lot of nothing that happened. We had some plans and they kind of all got canceled for various reasons that I don't need to go into. And it's nothing dramatic. It's just things didn't work out. And it was kind of disappointing in the beginning because plans just kept falling apart. And my wife got sick for like a week, just like a cold, and it kind of took her out, cold flu type thing. And so everything was just kind of very, very, very low key. But good times were had, and each of the holidays went by with good stuff. We ended the year on a magical note. Because on New Year's Eve, we all went to the Magic Castle. Have you ever been to the Magic Castle?
Yes, I have. I think we talked about it a little bit in the last intro or outro, but how was it?
Oh, did I have the plans then?
Yes.
Did I? Oh my God. I can't believe how far in advance that was planned then. We went. Oh, that did not fall through. It was great. It lived up to its expectations. It's a great place. I don't know the rules / secret ways / membership to get in because it was a friend of a friend who got us in, did a thing, and it was great. But it was really, really fun it's a cool place. It's a cool venue. So when did you go?
I went, I think like a year ago, like last fall. And I went
Did you
with
go to like a dinner or you would
yes, yeah, I
just a
went for a
show?
dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, which that was also like friend of a friend, like some random connection. Like
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
explain why, but I was happy that I ended up there. It was super fun.
It was very, very cool. And it was great because we went for a brunch and so kids got to go. And so all the kids were having a great time and it was super fun. So,
Mhm.
and, important milestone. It was the first year that all of us, including McKay, stayed up to midnight for New Year's Eve, which was not the plan. It just somehow happened, and I still don't know how it happened, and I think we're still paying for it. But it was cool. We got all the way to midnight, and so it was an interesting evening, and definitely a very interesting next day. So, oh well.
Okay, very fun, very fun.
What did you do for New Year's?
I actually went with my friends to go visit the University of Wisconsin at Madison. So I just
Yeah,
haven't found the time to go visit them during the school year. So I was like, oh, I'll go for New Year's Eve. So hung out with some of my good hometown friends, and that was really cool to see their friends, see their places. Yeah,
are there
festive.
lots of cheese themed celebrations in
Oh my
Madison,
gosh.
Wisconsin for
I
New Year's Eve? Lots of
I have
cheese curds.
had so much cheese over the last couple weeks. I've just been like, I texted my roommates. I'm like, somebody's just got to come save me. I need to like go on a dairy detox.
I
I've,
used to feel bad for making that joke whenever anyone would go to Madison or talk about Madison, but every time I make the joke, someone comes back and goes, "Oh my God, you're right. I had so much cheese." And I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing. I don't know.
wow. Well, that's cool. Very, very cool. Happy New Year and Happy New Year to everyone out there listening. This is our first episode of 2024. And for our first episode, this is being released on January 7th, 2024, which means we are almost exactly 1 week, 8 days away from the final deadline for first year applicants to apply for fall 2024. So if you're a senior in high school applying as a first year applicant for fall 2024, your last chance to apply is to get that application in the Common App, to get that submitted by January 15th. And so this podcast is a recording of the audio we held. The audio of an event we held online called our Ask Me Anything session. We held this on January 5th, Friday. And so it's only about 48 hours old. And the YouTube video is up on our YouTube page. But if you just want to listen to the audio, this is your last chance to listen to a bunch of students in a webinar asking questions, their last minute questions of things that they wanted to talk about before they applied for fall 2024 admission. So, questions are going to be related to the application. You're going to hear things related to the short answer responses. They're going to hear questions related to what happens if I did this with my classes. You're going to hear lots of questions where people are kind of like tiptoeing around asking what are my chances of admission, which, spoiler alert, there's no answer to that question, but a lot of people ask versions of that. And hopefully what this does is that in listening to this, if you have questions or concerns, or you're just about to hit submit, or you already applied and you're worried about something and thinking about something, this will likely answer those questions. It will calm a lot of those fears down because that's mostly what this session does. It kind of brings the temperature down a little bit, helps you get through this process, recognize that it isn't as scary as you think, and help you get through with if you're debating to apply. Hopefully, it encourages you to finish that application and get that in by January 15th. So you're not going to hear Maya and I on the back end of this episode. We're going to give you the full hour. And so you can jump right in, have a great time listening. And if there's anything else that you need, you can always feel free to email us at vadmit@usc.edu. You can call us at 213-600-9919, or you can go to our website, viterbiadmission.usc.edu, and learn a little bit more about the process. Maya, is there anything else we should probably talk about before we hand it over to the audio?
I think you covered it well. Yeah. And take it from somebody who goes to USC. Like Paul was saying, it's the process isn't as scary as you think.
All right. So I'm about to hand it off to myself, who will welcome you into the audio of the Ask Me Anything session for fall 2024 first year applicants. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the USC Viterbi School of Engineering undergraduate admission office's AMA. It's our Ask Me or Ask Us Anything. As we are currently recording this, having this live session on Friday, January 5th. This is the session where we have no presentation. We have nothing we want to specifically tell you other than answer your questions. And so after a quick round of introductions, this is how we're going to do it. And you can actually start doing this now while we're introducing ourselves. At the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A button. Hit that Q&A button. Start typing in questions. If you don't have questions, cool. Read what other people are asking and upvote the questions. When we're done introducing ourselves, we're going to go to that list and we're going to answer the questions in the order in which, the most popular questions first, basically. So go in, ask questions, upvote questions, push things to the top. We will answer questions that are upvoted the most first and then make our way down. So go ahead and start typing in questions. You can continue doing that throughout tonight's entire session. We'll be here for the full hour. Without further ado, we will introduce ourselves. We're going to start off with Becky.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Becky. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission at USC Viterbi. Welcome. We're excited to get your questions answered today.
Angie.
Hello, my name is Angie. I'm the Associate Director, and I'm excited to be here with all of you today.
Hi guys, happy Friday, happy New Year. My name is Lisa Rosas, and I'm the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admission.
All right. And my name is Paula Desmond, the Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission. We are all here to answer your questions. As of right now, you've only asked one. Oh, look, there's two. Magically, there's two as I did it. So please start getting those questions in, start populating those questions. Otherwise, we're going to sit here and stare at you for the hour. So get your questions in and we'll do whatever we can. First off, a couple things as the questions are coming in. I want to give you a couple tips and reminders about the application process, just in general. If you're applying for first-year admission, you're a senior in high school applying for first-year admission, that's what this whole topic is about. Okay, we're not talking about transfer admission. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about first-year admission to the Viterbi School of Engineering for fall 2024. And so everything is relative to that only. Now, the deadline is Tuesday? What day? Monday?
Monday the 15th, Martin Luther King Day.
So January 15th is the deadline to apply. That is the final deadline to apply. Regular decision for the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. In order to apply, you complete the common application and you list USC as your list of schools. You make sure that your Viterbi School of Engineering major is listed as your first choice major. That's any major prepended with the letters VSE. It needs to be as a first choice major on your application. And it needs to be submitted. The deadline is by midnight or 11:59 p.m. in your time zone. I want to clarify this because a lot of people really get freaked out about this, is that it's in your time zone. So the Common App as a computer system, as a server, is in Eastern time. And so if you're in, for example, the West Coast and you submit it at 11 p.m. West Coast time, it's going to have a timestamp of the next day. Don't worry about that. We're fine with it. We can do the math and we understand where you are. So wherever you are in the world, make sure it's submitted by 11:59 p.m. on January 15th in your time zone. Now, that said, don't wait till then. Just get it in as soon as you possibly can. And the other thing that's likely going to come up here is that any additional documents outside of the common application, transcripts, maybe any other things you're trying to submit as supplementals, like financial statements for international students, sometimes there's letters of recommendation that might come in separately. Those can all come in later, but it doesn't have to hit that same deadline. Now, that said, there isn't a specific deadline for these documents other than as soon as possible, because if it's required element of your application, well, we can start the review of your application. No one at the university can make a decision on your application until your application is complete. Now, letters of recommendation are not part of the application. We're not actually seeking anything extra outside of that, so it doesn't matter necessarily. But if you do want anything considered, you better get it in as soon as possible, because we are currently reviewing applications as they're coming in. So make sure that you get them in as soon as possible. Is there any other thing else, Lisa, Angie, Becky, that we should mention to get going before we dive into our questions? No? Can I cover a good base of it? All right. As a reminder, good. As a reminder, this event is run by you. So continue to ask questions. And if you're not asking questions, or even if you have asked questions, go down, scroll through and push questions up, because after a while, you'll forget that there's a lot of questions down there. And we also want to make sure if something's already been answered, that you don't upvote that question. You want to make sure you upvote the other ones to throw it to the top. Otherwise, we'll just kind of be wasting our time here. So let's get to our first question. The first question of the evening and the prize goes to Muhammad Khan. Muhammad, thanks for your question. You get an additional 10 points on your application for winning the prize competition here today. We'll mark it down. Lisa, please add 10 points on top of Muhammad's application. A quick note, we will add and take away points from your application depending on how we like your questions. questions throughout today's session. And also a spoiler alert, there's no such thing as points in the application. I'm just making it up. But way to go, Mahad, for winning. The question is, as the School of Engineering, which we're not the School of Engineering, we work at the School of Engineering, do you prefer a specific subject for the teacher letter of recommendation? Angie, letters of rec. This is a great topic for you to take a stab at in general, and then get to Mohammed's main point of his question here.
Sure. So letters of recommendation, I believe one is required on the common application. Typically from a counselor is what most schools
It's
do.
called
It's
the
like an
teacher
automatic
council
thing.
report. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And beyond that, we don't need more. We don't want more, because we have a lot of applications to review, and every letter of recommendation from all of your teachers says the same thing. You're amazing. Now, to answer the question, do we need a specific subject teacher to submit it? No. A lot of students think as an engineering school, we would prefer to see a math or a physics teacher. Those teachers probably don't know you as good as sometimes English or history teachers know you. So it's up to you who you ask as a recommender. It doesn't have to be a specific subject, but only one letter is required. You do not need to submit 5. We won't take 5 to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, the main point is that teacher council report is the important thing. And it should be the counselor is usually the one who writes it. 90% of our apps, that's what we're looking for. That's who fills it out. That's who's aware of this process. Let that happen. You don't need to seek out more. We don't want you to seek out more. If you want to, it's up to you. And if you do, fine. We don't really again, we're not looking for it. We're not asking for it. Doesn't really help us a lot. But if in your world, it is so important that you have so-and-so teacher write your letter of recommendation, great. But the point of this question that Angie's really getting at is, we're not looking for math and science recommendations. It doesn't matter. Don't read into what we're trying to do. We can understand your preparation for the engineering curriculum based on your grade pattern rather than what the teacher thinks of you. So I think you're fine here. Don't worry too much about that. Thank you, Mohammed. I appreciate your question. The next question is from Rishi. Will students with limited computer science or engineering experience outside of high school courses be disadvantaged in the admission process? What advice do you have for these students as they complete their supplemental essays? Becky, would you mind taking a stab at this? Students that are applying to computer science are often worried about whether they are prepared for the curriculum, and because they hear that all these people have all these extra programming classes and they've been programming since they were 3. Can we address this a little bit more?
Yes, and I'm actually glad you picked me, because I was in a presentation on Wednesday, and one of the parents said a friend of theirs, so someone who does not work at the university, who does not work in Viterbi Admissions.
A friend said, yes.
A friend said that if this person's daughter has not been on a robotics team, do not apply to Viterbi, they will not be admitted. So I said,
if you're not on a robotics team, no.
Well, the funny thing about this student is she's applying to biomedical engineering.
Oh.
Which has nothing to do with robotics or computer science. So I kind of debunked this myth. No, we do not expect high school students to have tons of extra experience in computer science or engineering outside of what their high school offers them. If your high school offers a robotics team and you want to be a part of it, great. If that's not what's up your alley because you're a chemical engineer in environmental chemical engineering, then we don't expect you to be a part of it.
Even if you're interested in computer science, you don't have to be a part of it. Maybe you have other interests. No, you don't need that.
And we have some students, sure, they have been involved in engineering and computer science, but it is by far not the majority. It is a tiny percentage, and it's usually because their parents are engineers or something like that. But some of our greatest computer science students took AP computer science their senior year of high school for the very first time because it was what fit in their schedule, fell in love with it, applied to computer science programs, and did phenomenal. We have students who go to art high schools, school for the arts, and they're doing dance and performing arts and, fine arts. And then they decide they really want to build things because they like design, and that's how they get involved in engineering. So we do not expect you to have all this engineering experience because most high schools don't offer it. And we don't expect you to go outside of engineering if you don't have those opportunities. Or like Paul said, if you don't have interest in robotics, don't join the team. That is fine too. Yeah, we're looking to bring in an incoming class of students who complement each other and challenge each other and are diverse from each other and don't all have the same background. So we don't want an incoming class of all students who all did robotics all the time and have all this, computer science only experience. We want students with different interests who will become part of every aspect of the university, not just very specific programs at our schools. So it will not put you at a disadvantage if you don't have a lot of outside experience in computer science and engineering.
I'll double down on that. You do not need any computer science experience to be admitted to our computer science program. You are not at a disadvantage. I want to be really clear about that. Students are equally successful with or without programming experience prior to our program. No matter what level you come in at, we will be able to help you. And if you, quote unquote, feel like you're behind, we're going to get you caught up. And oftentimes students that are extremely, quote unquote, prepared maybe learned in their own way and aren't ready to learn in a classroom environment the way that we have. So it doesn't necessarily, it's a false positive that people believe that computer science before college is strong preparation for a computer science program. I wouldn't worry too much about that. As a reminder, and we'll continue to remind you, you got to upvote things. I'm seeing the upvotes lose their luster here a little bit, and we're getting down to things that are tied. So if you want things pushed up, there are new questions at the bottom. Scroll down, push things all the way up, whatever you think is interesting. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going in this order that they are offered. William is the next question here. How many years of a foreign language do you typically look for in applicants? I will take that one. We don't care. Doesn't matter. There are no specific requirements when it comes to foreign language. There's actually no specific requirements when it comes to your high school curriculum in general, other than, are you meeting your high school's graduation requirements? Are you pursuing a balanced education, and are you doing well? And that can mean lots of things for different people. We don't have prescriptions on specific classes and specific years other than math and science. If you're going in math and science, if you're going in engineering, like our programs, we need to see that you've made progression through all 4 years of math and science, that it's high levels of rigor, and that you have at least calculus under your belt with success by the time you graduate. And that's going to be important to us. But foreign language, no, we don't have any specific requirements or recommendations or anything on that. Next up, someone who won the last upvoting round is Anastasia Falls. Anastasia, as an engineering major applicant, who also loves the arts, how can I engage with my other interests? I've heard that USC's campus is very spread out. This is an interesting dichotomy of questions. Lisa, I'm going to have you start us off on the answer here, because it's really interesting. I don't know where she's coming with this question here, but can we address the idea first off of studying disparate programs? And then I'm curious how we all think about this question of USC's campus is spread out. But go ahead, Lisa. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The beauty of our program is this philosophy that we have called Engineering Plus. You're more than just an engineer that loves heavy STEM, math, and science courses. We want you to explore other things, other interests, other passions. So we have a lot of students that are not only engaged in engineering courses and academics, but they pursue minors in arts and different things. And it's really easy to do. A lot of our students pursue minors in things outside of the engineering scope, which is super awesome. But it's very easy to do. You can join clubs, you can do other things. Really, all it is talking to an academic advisor. Minors fit in so well with your current curriculum. A lot of students do it. So if you want to pursue something else, it's really, really easy to do.
What does everyone think about the second part of this question? USC's campus is very spread out. And first off, it's not. It's actually probably the smallest campus you're applying to, just as far as acreage goes, if that's the best way to describe it. Becky?
Yeah, I'm laughing because we may all have different ideas. I'm guessing Angie and I are on the same page because of where we did our undergraduate degree.
Yeah, these are interesting. Yeah, these are interesting dichotomies. You should tell people where you went and the difference in walks.
Okay, so I went to Indiana University, large state institution, small town. So it's like the university took up the entire town. To get from one class to the next, maybe 20 minutes. To get to the football stadium, a half-hour walk. It was huge. So when I'm on USC's campus, I'm like, this place is small. Angie probably feels pretty similar to me because she also went to a large state institution. And I don't know if you have input too, but then Lisa went to a really small school. So USC might seem big to her. But yeah, as far as acres goes, like what Paul said, USC can't really grow anymore. We're right in the middle of a very urban environment. So we don't have a lot of room to spread out. Although we try, we don't have a lot of room to spread out very much. So I don't see it as a large institution, but I don't know what you guys think.
I guess the other thing that maybe USC technically has 2 campuses, which I think confuses people sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
We do technically have a health sciences campus, but that's a graduate program. That's medical school. Those are master's and PhD. None of you will ever go there unless you're doing research there. But otherwise, like, yeah, like Becky, I went to the other school, the unnamed rival school, which acreage wise is twice as big as USC. And from my dorms to my class, like at 30 minutes walking up and down hills. Also, USC is flat. So it's like I can get somewhere in
Difference.
like 10 minutes max across
Right.
campus.
Yeah, I'm often surprised at people talking about USC because as far as size goes, because the longest walk you'll ever have on campus is 12 minutes. Like that's corner to corner, and you will never actually make that walk. Your walks are usually somewhere between 5 and 7, 5 and 10 minutes to get from one building to the next. This often comes up when first year students are registering for classes. They're like, oh, I have one class that ends at 1:50, and I have another class that starts at 2 o'clock. Well, I make it. And no matter where they're at, I'm like, you're fine. You're fine. And they've really freaked out. And then the first week of class, I'm like, how was it? They're like, oh, I had time to grab a snack. I was there before class started. This is a really small campus. And more specifically, with the philosophy that we have, students are often jumping between an art class, a dance class, an engineering class, a math class. They're jumping between those because it's all along the way. I mean, just for example, where we all park, we walk past the business school buildings, we walk past the public policy school buildings, the art buildings, the architecture buildings, multiple science buildings. Then we get into the engineering buildings, and then we basically walk the entire campus, and that's just in our walk from where we park physically to when we go to campus. So that's just, and that's probably the longest walk I make all day. You guys, yeah, probably the longest walk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So Anastasia, nothing to worry about there. We can't wait to see you do those types of things. Next question. Again, reminder to upvote things. Angelina is asking, what are you looking for in the quote, why us essay? Are there any boxes you'd like us to check when writing this essay? All right. So this is dipping our toes into the expected question of what are you looking for in an applicant? And that's, I'm broadening the question. But Becky, why don't you start us off into this one? I think what they're talking about, I think what she's referring to in the quote, why us essay is, first of all, it's not an essay, it's a short answer response. And I think she's referring to their strongest contribution. Is that what do you think she's referring to?
I don't know. That's supposed
Or
to
she's
be
saying why
wrong.
USC?
Yeah.
Why USC? Go into it. Let's talk about the approaches to the application and strategy, et cetera.
Okay, well, I'll just talk about short answers, essays in general as you're filling them out. We are not looking for anything in particular. What we are looking for, I mean, we can't tell you what to put in your essay or what to put in your short answer questions or what things to talk about, because then you're all going to talk about the same thing and no one is unique and no one is different and you're all the same person. Also, there's nothing specific we're looking for in an essay. We want to get to know you as a student. We want to get to know you as your interest, why, I know there's a variety of questions, short answer questions, essays you're going to be answering. But why USC, why your major, how are you can contribute to our community, grand challenges, what do you think is most important, sort of a critical thinking question. We just want to kind of get to know you as a student and as a person and get to know your interests. As hard as that is in 250 words or less, that is what we're looking for. We're looking for you. So if what you meant, Angelina, is why USC, why USC? Why are you applying to USC? Or how do you see yourself contributing to our community that's already in place? Those are the types of things we want to learn from you. There's nothing specific. There's no boxes. There's no formula. There's no Excel spreadsheet. There's nothing specific that we're looking for. We just want to get to know you as a student. And you are all different. So all of your essays should be slightly different and all of your short answer questions should be slightly different.
Angie, Lisa, anything you'd like to add on to that?
No,
Yeah,
I think Becky answered it pretty well.
Yeah, I think so as well. And the main point here is don't add the strategy. Don't try to think about us, because it might be, there's us and there's others that read too, and you just want to be yourself. That's what we're trying to do, trying to get to know you. So don't overthink it. And most importantly, I'll probably say this a few times, stay off of Reddit. I mean, this is back to Becky's point earlier about a friend told me this is the key. A friend told me this is what they want. They're all wrong. Like every single one of them is wrong. None of them are us. None of them work here. And more importantly, we've never had any of those points made. There are valuable stories in every single one of you, and all of you have a special value and a special trail that you've blazed to get to this point. Your job now is to tell us that story so we can get to know you, because as Becky said, we need to build this class of different individuals. And the only way we can build that is by getting to know who you are. If you start to fill a preconceived mold of what you believe we're looking for, number one, it will not be you. And second, it's probably not going to be valuable to us because it's not real. So just be as authentic as you possibly can. So I appreciate your question. Coalina is asking, does USC allow double majors? Angie, you want to tackle this one? I'm trying to rotate through you all.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So yes, USC allows you to pursue double majors. I think Lisa kind of alluded to this idea of engineering plus, that we really encourage our students to pursue things outside of engineering. Now, realistically, will you finish in 4 years if you decide to do engineering and business, or engineering and I'm just throwing other majors out there, math, physics, maybe. But it's just be prepared to be here longer than maybe 4 years, especially if you want to pursue two very completely different programs. In fact, I think most of our engineering students, from when I talk to them, they often decide to do a minor instead because it's a little bit less classes, a little more manageable for their schedule. So absolutely, we'll allow you to do anything, and we'll let you be at USC for as long as you want, but just keep in mind that you'll keep paying tuition.
Exactly. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. The next question is, and as a reminder, keep upvoting those things because we got to move things to the top here, is from Luke. Are there certain majors or emphases that are easier to get in with or easier to apply for financial aid with? Luke, the answer is no to both of your questions. I want to be extremely clear about this. We have no impacted programs. We have no set number of seats per each one of these majors, which means there isn't a set chance of admission for any one of our programs. The bad news is they're all hard to get into. The USC is hard to get into. It's a highly competitive process. On your application, again, this is leading into strategy. How can I get admitted? You do that, you start losing authenticity really quickly. Put down the thing you want to study because it's what you want to study. Don't overthink it. And when you tell the story in the application, it will all make sense. If you start diverting from that, it's not going to make sense. There's no easy way in. Secondarily, financial aid has nothing to do with your academics, has nothing to do with your majors whatsoever. And there are two parts of financial aid. There is need-based financial aid, which is separate from the admission process. There's a firewall between us. We are a need-blind institution. And what that means is that your ability to pay has no bearing on your chances of admission. So I want to be really clear about that. And that's a benefit to you. It's not like we're only admitting the students that we think can pay for our program. So we are a need-blind institution. The FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, and the CSS profile is required to apply for the financial aid process. That is separate from the admission process and something that you should do after you apply. Nothing you need to worry about now. Focus on your application. Separately, scholarships are available for those that applied early action by November 1st. And so that process is done and complete. If you did not apply early action, there are no merit scholarships available, but there is need-based financial aid, and I encourage you all to apply to that process. And again, financial aid has nothing to do with the major. It's not like, oh, we want more of these students, so we throw more scholarships at that. No, it's not about that at all. So I want to be clear. Okay. Lisa, this one's for you. It's from Lucas. What is the secret? What do you look for in the short take questions? Which I think, are they called short takes? What are they called?
I don't know.
Quick takes.
Short takes.
Yeah, quick takes.
It's pretty easy. I mean, it's just whatever we like.
Yeah, you better find out.
That's it. Right. No, I mean, a lot of students overthink this. It's not a test. It's not a trick. We're really just trying to get to know you. It's just kind of a fun break in the application. So answer whatever tells us who you are. There's no right answers in this. We've mentioned this a couple times. There's no one way to answer anything. Tell us what your favorite snack is, not what you think we would want to hear. Just be honest and candid in these responses.
All right. Very cool. Yeah. There is no secret. There's no secret snack. Just go for it. Tell us what's going on. Trust your gut. Everyone worries about this. Anastasia asks the next question. It's a little bit long, so we're gonna do this as best we can. Now, considering that there is a specific writing section in the Common App about our plans as students in pursuit of our academic goals, I would like to ask where I can find more in-depth information about not only the engineering program, but also the various tangential student body organizations that are associated with the College of Engineering. Also, if you could please answer this via message, that would be great because I cannot hear. Great, I just read that at the end. Can someone type out links that I'm going to mention? I would really, really appreciate that. But for everyone else, I'm not asking you to do a book report on our website. I want to be really clear about this. You don't go to our website, digest it, and then repurpose it into your quote plans. That has a real weird feeling to me. It's like you're like proving that you've read what we've written. But our website has so much stuff about our school. When it's talking about your plans as students in pursuit of your academic goals, rethink that question. What do you want to major in and why? What do you want to study? What do you want to do in college? What sounds cool to you? Now, sometimes there's information on our website related to the things you've mentioned that might support those goals. But this is not for you to tell us about us. That's like the most boring answer. I know what we wrote on our website because I wrote it. I know what we wrote in the booklet because we wrote it. You don't need, I know what we said in our presentation because we said it. We're trying to tell you what we do, but this is your opportunity to tell us, what will you do here? And that may have something to do with what we do, but that may have something entirely different. Maybe you're going to start something new. Maybe you want to, maybe it has something to do with the region. Maybe it has to do something to do with Los Angeles. Maybe it has something to do with California. Maybe it has to do with some sort of combination of programs because you're, as before, I forget who asked the question earlier. Was it Anastasia about arts or someone else? Was asking, that's great. They want to do engineering and the arts. Great. What is that and why? So what do you want to major in? What are your academic pursuits and why? And how are you going to do those here? If you have any thoughts, and we don't expect you to know this place like the back of your hand. This is not a test. It's not a book report. So please just enjoy telling us about your plans and your ideas as best we can. So I don't know who can help answer that on the text, but thank you, Angie. I appreciate that. I should have read the whole question before I went verbal with it. So there you go. Catherine is asking the next question. Thank you for your question. Catherine, would me choosing to apply to the School of Engineering impact the admission decision? No, it's not any more difficult to be admitted to the engineering school as it is the rest of the university, number one. I know that engineering is highly populated, and I just want to know if that would impact whether I would get in the university itself. Wrong. Also, not highly populated. Now, that said, in demand, absolutely. But this is a very small program, and I think a lot of students really get confused about size. And this is a big thing. USC is often referred to as a big school. We're actually like a medium school overall. When you look at the overall undergraduate student population at USC, somewhere between 17, 20,000 undergraduates, right? And it changes from time to time. And we make up about 12, 13% of the total undergraduate student body. And that's all of our undergraduate students that come in as first year and transfer students from other colleges and universities. We only seek to enroll 410 first-year students every single year. So if you're admitted and you choose to enroll with us this next year for fall 24, you're going to be one of around 400 students across 10 academic programs. It is not highly populated. It is a small program. Now, that said, though, we get over 15,000 applications. And so it is highly competitive from an admission standpoint. So I think that might be what you mean, but I want to put that in perspective for everybody, that this is a place where it is competitive. But also keep in mind, the university gets over 80,000 applications likely this year, and they're going to be bringing in an incoming class of just under 3,000 students. This is not any different. The math here doesn't change. It's not any more difficult to be admitted to the engineering school than it is the university. Well, unless you really want to feel better about yourself. I mean, the typical admit rate to the university this last year was around 10%. Admit rate to, if you just look at engineering students, was around 8%. Is that really more difficult? I mean, if you get in, you want to tell people hey, go for it. But really, it's not. You're not changing your chances of admission. And if you're at all worried about it, make sure you list your first choice major as a Viterbi school major, VSE. Your second choice major, you can list something else at the university that's not an engineering major. So if we can't consider you, maybe that other major can. Or leave it blank and you'll be considered for open at the university. So you get a couple different takes on the application. Don't list two VSE majors in your first and second choice. That doesn't do anything because we would already have considered you. So make sure if you have other interests, go ahead and do that. But you're not changing chances of admission because you put a certain major down. I want to be super, super clear about that because that's often entirely different than other engineering schools across the country.
And I just want to add, because you did mention this, but I just want to make sure that the students heard it. If you apply to Viterbi and you're not admitted to Viterbi, the university will already consider you for your second choice. So apply to Viterbi, throw your hat in the ring, because the university will already consider you for your second choice major if for some reason you are not admitted to the Viterbi school. So I think his question was kind of implying like, oh, I should apply to something else at the university just to get to USC. That's already built into the process for you.
Thank you.
Apply to Viterbi. If you are not admitted, you will be considered for admission to the university to your second choice if it's outside of Viterbi.
Thank you. And as a reminder for all of our guests, we are at the halfway point here. If you want to have more questions, go ahead and dump them in. I know that we are so engaging that you get lost up in our answers, but you need to continue to ask questions and you need to continue to upvote because we are losing the momentum on the upvotes, which means we're just going to start answering the order they were put in. Sometimes if you want those upvotes, go down and find the questions that we're most interested in now that are different than what we've already answered and pull them up to the top as best you possibly can. Ethan has our next question. Thank you for your question, Ethan. Becky, I'm going to start with you on this one. Ethan, do dedicated courses, for example, AP Physics, I'm assuming he meant AP Calculus, work to skip introductory courses for a major like engineering, or can it only be utilized to skipping for unfocused majors like the arts? Interesting take on this question. Becky, go ahead and give it your best shot.
Yes, the university does give credit for AP, IB, A-level courses in specific subjects. And then depending on what your required courses are. So for something like engineering, calculus is obviously required. Physics is tricky because you can only get the credit for some of the majors.
I'm putting the URL in right now to the chat so they can refer to that.
Thank you. AP chemistry, US history, those types of courses, you can get courses waived. So for example, a 4 or a 5 on your Calc AB test, you will get Calc 1 waived. A 5 on BC, you can get 1 and 2, and then you start in Calculus 3. So it does, you can get credit for calculus for certain AP, IB, A-level credits as an engineer. I said physics is a little tricky because, well, even if you get a 5 on some of the physics tests, you'll get unit credit. You won't get the course waived. You'll still have to take it as a student at USC unless you're specific majors in CS or maybe ISE, but everyone else must take our physics class at USC. So it depends on the major.
Yeah, I want to be clear about two things. There's a great answer. Refer to the link here, viterbiadmission.usc.edu/credits for the details. And also things change from year to year. So also we might have some updates for next year. But in general, everything Becky said is exactly true. But I want to be clear about one thing. None of you will be graduating early because of any of the credits we just discussed. And I know that's a big bummer because your AP teachers, and I will also throw into this in any dual credit classes. None of you are graduating early. And I want to be super, super clear about this because while some of those credits can transfer over, transferring over is one thing. The second thing is, are they equivalents to requirements for your degree is something entirely different. And then the next thing is the amount that will, and usually the amount that really, really won't affect things. What it will do is it'll increase your flexibility to do more things, but it doesn't take away a year or more from your classes. We have a 4-year plan here. It is a 4-year program. You will be here for 4 years. Now, there are always exceptions to the rule. There's some students that might be doing a little bit less in quicker time, and you may want to do that. But oftentimes, every student I've ever met that said, no, I'm going to do this earlier, I'm like, hey, have at it. Best of luck to you, man. They always change their mind because they end up liking what they're doing and engaging in a full academic experience for that 4 years. And it is well worth your time. So please keep that in mind. Luke is the next question. I see that the teacher-student ratio is 9-1. I think that's the student-to-teacher ratio, just as a heads up. Does this change between elective classes and primary classes? No, that is the student-faculty ratio across the university. But isn't it magical that every university you talk to has the same ratio? And that's not necessarily the case. It kind of depends. Every university has a different way of counting this that somehow comes up to close to 10-1. And while that is true here, what I think is more important, these are the facts that I think you should understand about USC and then compare that to other schools. All of your classes will be taught by faculty. You will never be taught by a TA or a graduate student. That's number one. Number two, all of these classes will be smaller class environments. And when I say smaller, I want to define what small versus big is, because every university can say this is a small class, this is a big class relative to their definitions of small and big at their university. And let me give you some specific class size averages that you're going to have in your first year. In your first year, you're going to take an introduction to the discipline of your choosing, right? So that's an introduction to civil engineering or introduction to biomedical engineering or introduction to electrical, whatever that class is going to be. On average, that is somewhere between 35 and 40 students. Okay, that's the first class you take, taught by senior level faculty. If you take the first year academy class, that is around 30 students per class. That's the engineering first year academy class. It's about 30 students per class. Now, the other class you're going to take is a calculus class. Now, depending on the level that you come into, Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, Diffie-Q, linear algebra, et cetera, that's about 45 to 50 students per class. But if you're really focused on small classes, if you really, really want small classes, here's the secret. Register for the 8 a.m. class. They're always smaller. If you want the noon class, it's going to be a little bit bigger, closer to 50, but you want the 25-person class, 8 a.m. is always there for you. So that's your secret. Always get the 8 a.m. class for the calculus. Beyond that, you can take a general education class. General education has so many categories, so many topics. They can range in size from 15 to 150. For example, there was an English class, English 280, which explores narrative medicine. It has 15 students in it for this coming spring semester. Or you can register for an anthropology class, exploring culture through film. That has 150 students and has 5 different sections. So you can register one of 550 students because it's so popular, because people like classes related to film. Finally, you'll have a writing class. And that writing class that you're going to take, that is going to be no more than 17 people. That's a university-wide cap on your first class. So just in your first semester alone, you see that there's a lot of variation, but it is all smaller classes. And that's what's most in focus. And all of them are taught by faculty, never taught by a TA. You will have access to faculty. You will get to know faculty. You're never going to like every faculty member. I'll tell you that as well. I mean, sometimes you like faculty, sometimes you don't. So just keep in mind, this is a place where faculty will know you. Sometimes that's a pro and sometimes that's a con. My favorite example of this is I was in the cafe a couple years ago, grabbing a coffee at around 11 a.m. because I keep drinking coffee throughout the day to do sessions like this. And I ran into one of the electrical engineering professors. I said, "Hey, Mark, what's going on? How you doing?" He's going to an early lunch. He just came out of a class. And lo and behold, without him knowing it, a student behind us in line was getting his coffee. Looked like he just woke up, because he did. And the first thing Mark said, "Oh, hey, John, missed you in class a minute ago." And the kid went dead white, because this is a place where you're not hiding in the back of a 300-person lecture hall. You're not in this place where faculty don't know you. He missed class and was noticed, was so scared because he was getting coffee at the same exact place, because that's where everybody gets coffee around these classrooms. So just keep that in mind. There's pros and cons to this, but this is a place where you have access and engagement with faculty because they want to get to know you, want to help you. Ethan, I think this is a second. No, we already answered that question. I was like, we already had a question for Ethan. Okay, here we go. Ansh is asking, will taking only math and computer science in IB and not physics affect chances of admission for Viterbi? Prospective CS major here. Oh, sorry, Ansh, we're automatically denying you. No, it doesn't. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everybody makes different choices. Everybody has different availability of classes. And I know there's a lot of conflicts. Don't worry about it. You're fine. We do want to see math higher level. That is going to be important to us. That's the only thing that I will say in this. But we want to make sure that we're seeing classes that you're doing well. You don't need to be across the board IBHL. That's a little crazy.
Yeah, and I think there's some universities that you may be looking at that do require physics, and we are not. We just want to see you. We don't have, like Paul said at the beginning, and even on the university admission website, there's not specific this many semesters of this subject, this many semesters of this subject. It's just, are you taking higher level courses at your high school? Are you taking advantage of the rigorous classes that are offered to you? And if you're doing IB math and IB computer science, great. You're taking those IB courses. You don't have to have physics to be admitted.
Lisa, I'm going to give you this next one, but it's an interesting question. Marshall's asking, can you talk about a day in the life of someone pursuing a combined degree, like computer science and business administration? I'm going to give you the little catch here, as if it's different than anyone else's day in the life at USC. So just as a heads up, I know you're looking at me like, great.
You wake up, get some food.
Well, no, they have different alarms. Those students have way different alarms. They start the day backwards.
I mean, they do the same thing as everyone else, but as you could imagine, you're adding a second major on top of an already pretty rigorous degree. So your day is going to likely be a lot longer than a typical student with just a minor.
Hold on, this is the combined. So this is one of
I'm sorry.
our degree programs, not double major. Sorry, but we can get into that. But yes.
No, you're right. I misread. So it's going to be the same as anyone else. Your curriculum is going to look a little something like this. You're going to start off with the foundation computer science courses. Your higher level courses are going to be focused towards business administration. So some of those courses you will be taking at the Marshall School of Business, which will be nice. You'll get exposure to both CS and business administration. It's a healthy combination of both. But it's going to be the same amount of units as any other CS major and same amount of course load.
Yeah, I would say look at the degree requirements. Every one of our majors has the 4-year degree plans on our website, viterbiadmission.usc.edu/academics. And then specifically, each of the individual degree programs are listed out by major. So for example, /CS takes you to computer science, /BME takes you to biomedical engineering. But the academics page links you off to all of those. When you're inside one of those pages like /CS, you can see what a computer science degree looks like and see it right next to the computer science business degree. And what you'll notice is that some classes have been taken out, technical electives, etc., and then business classes are moved in. You're still taking the same amount of classes. It's just that you have some choices made for you. Computer science as a degree program has a lot of flexibility and a lot of technical electives about how you want to focus your computer science degree program. Computer science business lessens that because it actually brings in the focus of business courses inside of that. So it's kind of pre-choosing an emphasis if that makes any sense to you. Now, every degree program is different, and there's lots of different hybrid programs. And what Lisa's referring to is that when you add, like, let's say a double major or a minor, it depends on the level of depth that you're getting into. A minor can be anywhere from 4 to 8 different classes that you add in, but a second bachelor's degree is an additional 32 units of upper division coursework on top of your first degree. And so that's more time. Your days, no matter what, never look any different, but the time you spend on your time at USC could be different based on how many classes you're adding in. So just keep that in mind. There's nothing necessarily different about a hybrid degree program like CSBA. It's still a single degree, and that's what everybody needs to understand about that. Next up, and we're losing upvotes, peeps. So get in there for the next 15 minutes and upvote things because we're down to a lot of ties for votes for 3. So please get in there. Juan is asking a question. What internships are available at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering? Angie, would you please give us your first shot at that one, please?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, internships are not just available whenever at Viterbi. You have to apply for them. But I understand your question, Juan. How do you find them? I think is really the question that we want to answer here. We have a number of different resources for our students on campus to find internships while they're studying engineering and computer science. The most popular way being through the Career Center, Viterbi Career Connections. It's an office with dedicated staff who help connect you with the industry, with internship opportunities, help you with resume reviews, mock interviews. They'll host events throughout the year that actually employers come to campus and are connecting with you and hiring our students. All to say that if you want to find an opportunity, it's going to be there for you. We put on all these events, but you do have to make the effort on your end to come to these events, to come to campus, to connect with employers and things like that. And secondly, if I may plug in, being involved on campus, participating in clubs, in leadership, in design teams, just as important as going to career events. A lot of people, like seniors who are graduating, are going to be working full time and may be able to refer you as a freshman or a sophomore for an internship that they're vacating. And so a lot of networking happens amongst students themselves. So if you don't have an opportunity to go to those career center events, make sure to engage in those networking professional societies that Viterbi has, and clubs and design teams and things like that.
Yeah. And I think to clarify what Andrew was getting at is that we don't offer the internships, but we connect you with the companies that are offering the internships. And there are plenty, thousands and thousands of internships available. We have these companies recruiting you as undergraduates. But if, as she said, if you don't engage, you're not going to get any. You have to engage. You have to be part of the process. And we're going to help you do that. We have professionals in place to help you do that and to be successful. Our whole job here is to bring students in that will be successful in getting out of here. We want you to leave USC. We're not just bringing you in. And I think that's an important part about the admission process is that we're creating a community of scholars that will build on top of what we do here and do great things afterwards. We're not looking to fill the halls. And that's a very big difference between us and a lot of other universities. So please keep that in mind. That's our biggest goal, is for you to be successful. And so that's what we're focused on in the admission process, and bringing a community together that are all going to help each other be successful. I also put a link in there for some more information on the career stuff that Angie was talking about, viterbiadmission.usc.edu/beyond. Next up, it's a question from Sunny. Sunny, thank you for your question. How well does the school help with changing majors and make sure you graduate on time? Becky, do you want to give that a shot, please?
Sure. There are, again, lots of resources. So you each will have an academic advisor that you will meet with every single semester. You cannot register for classes unless you have met with them. And so they will help you as far as your academics, making sure you're taking the courses that you need to take in order to graduate on time, making sure you're in the major that you want to be in. So one thing that's unique about USC is if you apply and you're admitted to one of the Viterbi majors, you can change your major within the Viterbi school, and your advisors will help you do that, make sure you're caught up in any courses that maybe you missed in the first semester or second semester. But the way that the curriculum is designed is you can change your major within the first 3 semesters and still be on track to graduate on time. Now, beyond just registering for classes and meeting with your advisors, you also have to pass your classes, and that also enables you to graduate on time. And so there are lots of resources to make sure that you're doing well in your courses. And I know we talked about faculty teaching undergraduate courses. You will have a full-time faculty member teaching all of your lectures. There are also teaching assistants and graduate assistants that assist with those courses. All of our faculty have required office hours where you can go and meet with them during the week if you have additional questions about the lecture or things you want to talk to them about. And they are there to help you academically. If you cannot make your professor's office hours, you can go to your TA's hours or your graduate assistant's hours. There is free peer tutoring. We have a staff writing tutor, a writing tutor on staff who is there to help students in their writing courses and just make sure that you're getting that academic support. And so the students who I think do the best and make sure that they pass all their classes and they progress towards graduation within their curriculum are the ones that do go and seek out help. And a lot of times it's not because they're failing, it's because they want their B+ to be an A-. And there are all those resources for students to make sure that not only are you getting the courses that you need and registering for them, but you're also getting the academic help to make sure you're successful in those courses.
Absolutely. You will graduate on time as long as you do the work, and we're here to help. Nandika has asked a question. Do admissions officers like to see upward trends in grades? Yes. We also like to see all good grades. We like to see students performing well. And grades that are consistently good are good. Grades that go up over time are good. Grades that are consistently low are bad. Grades that get lower as the classes get harder are bad. We want to see students that are going to be prepared for our curriculum. We like to see lots of different people that come in, and this is getting down. There's a question down below that I hope we get to about your one grade, good, bad, whatever. The whole story is important. And if we can see a trend across 4 years that you did well and classes continued to get harder and you did well, then we believe that there's a good chance that we can correlate that to success in college, right? There's a pretty good chance that if you did well as grades got worse, as your classes got harder, you're not going to do well as they get even harder, right? So there is that correlation as well. So just keep in mind, it's not a GPA, it's not a certain grade, it's not whatever. What we want to see is A's and B's, more A's than B's. That's usually the easiest rule of thumb. Okay, so if you're getting A's and B's, more A's than B's, you're on the right track. Does it mean B's are bad? No, it does not. Does it mean you need straight A's? No, it does not. And I hope you understand that you're all going to have kind of bumps and trends along the way. And I'll tell you this one thing. I know your worst grade is that freshman year Spanish class. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Because you know who doesn't care about your freshman year Spanish class? These guys. All of us. So don't worry about it. We're fine. Okay? Just keep doing well in those classes across the board. Michelle has asked a question. What study abroad opportunities are available for engineering majors? Lisa, you want to kick us off on this one?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of our engineers actually go abroad in some capacity. There's so many different opportunities. It depends on which way you want to get abroad. So I'll list a couple and you guys can jump in if I miss any. You could do the typical semester long abroad going somewhere. For all of these, you should we recommend letting your advisor know right away that you're interested in getting abroad so they can implement it in your course plan. You can also do some courses that go abroad for a couple weeks. We have Maymester programs where you can start your spring semester at USC and then into the summer, you have a couple months away abroad in some other country, which is another way. Some of our student orgs go abroad for competitions, for conventions, all those things. So there are a lot of ways to get abroad, but if that's something you're interested in doing, make sure you talk to your advisor so they can make it available to you in your course plan.
Great. If you want to go abroad, we're going to help you go abroad. We think it's an important part of it. We got about 10 minutes left on this, folks. So if you want something answered, you better upvote it to the top or ask it quickly. So get it in there. We've got a total of a bunch more questions here, but we're only going to get to probably a few more. So get them upvoted if you want them answered. Next question we're going to go through is from Mason. Is there a type of entrepreneurship program that affiliates with the Viterbi School that helps students start their business in the engineering field? That's a thing I'm interested in. Cool. So yeah, entrepreneurship and the ability to do startups, lots of ways to do it. One, take courses in it. There's classes in entrepreneurship, both here in the engineering school, also the Marshall School of Business. There are minors that you can actually pursue a sequence of classes in entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. There's even a minor called the digital startup if you're really interested in the ideas of an online or electronic version of a startup. So very specific things you can do academically should you wish to do so. But outside of that, there's a strong student community that gets involved in student organizations. So things related to the startup like Lava Lab, which is a student-run incubator, or Design for America, which is a social entrepreneurship organization. And there are plenty others outside of that as well, should you wish to get into it. So there's a lot of ways to do it. And then on top of that, we have specific entrepreneurial startup competitions. So the Min Family Challenge for Social Entrepreneurship and the Massey Entrepreneurial Competition, all of these are here and available to you to get involved in as early as you get here. It's just a question of what levels you want to get into. My advice to you is when you get here, start to engage with student organizations and that community that's interested in it and start to navigate what's most interested to you, because not all of these are something you're going to do necessarily, but they're all available to you. And so keep in mind that what's going to match you and what you want to do will change over time. And I think you have lots of opportunities to do that. So keep that in mind. Next up, Becky, I'm going to come back to you on this one because this is very similar to the last question. I got a fair amount of B's. This is from Kay Freeman. B's in my sophomore year. Got B's. And because the pandemic greatly affected my study habits, which I think it greatly affected everybody, is this worth mentioning in the additional information section, or should I avoid that since everyone suffered from COVID?
And this kind of goes along with the next question that's in there. So we'll just mark them both.
Oh, yeah. Himanshu. Okay. So let me ask that question for everybody who's not seeing it. COVID-19 pandemic has had significant impact on students' academic experience and performance. Thank you. Yes, we know that. In my case, it affected my grades during my 10th and 11th years in high school. Are there any policies, consideration that you has in place to recognize and address the academic challenges students face during the pandemic? Super sorry if this is the wrong place to ask this question. No, this is the place to ask the question. And I think what Becky's going to get into is that's why we ask you about it in the application.
Yes, there is a question on the application this year to ask about community disruption. How did the pandemic affect you? And kind of going what Kay Freeman had said, yeah, we all suffered from COVID. And I think this was one of my favorite sort of quotes or something that I heard during the pandemic. We were all in the same storm. We were not all in the same boat. And so while we were all suffering from the pandemic and being stuck in our houses and supply chain issues and all the, businesses shutting down, it affected us all a little bit differently depending on just where we are in our life. And so, yes, absolutely. If there was a significant disruption to you during the pandemic, answer the question that asks you about it. We are asking because we want that information just to understand the context. Also, if it affected your grades, we want to know. When we're reading your applications, we see your transcripts, we see your grades, we see your grade trends. But if there is a reason for maybe a drop in grades or a specific semester that you struggled because of a reason, we want to hear about it. So we understand the context of what you were going through during that time that affected your grades negatively. If we don't have that information, we're sitting here thinking, did they get lazy? Did they just stop reading, doing their homework? But if it was something, where it had to do with the pandemic, an illness, a death in the family, I'm going beyond just COVID. If there was something significant that happened to you during a time, it affected your grades, we won't know that by just looking at your transcript. We'll see a drop in grades. We'll see one class that you didn't do as well. We'll see a downward trend. And it's really helpful for us to review your application, knowing the context behind what you were going through during that time. So yes, absolutely. Answer that question. Give us additional information. Let us know what you were going through, either during the pandemic or, like I said, outside influences that may have happened beyond that, family issues, illnesses, hospital stays, whatever it might be.
I want to add two things. One, never assume that we know things about you if you don't tell it to us. I think that's the most important part. And more importantly, we can only compare to other students at your school. And so just keep that in mind. If everyone's gone through the same thing and has the same results, then that kind of makes sense. If you have a completely different thing, then it's going to look odd. So make sure that you let us know and never assume that we know anything about you. We only know what you put in the application. And so don't second guess yourself. Don't feel bad about things. And more specifically, I'll do this on the other side, not related to COVID. Don't hold back. Tell us everything you got. Don't assume that, this is something I do. No, tell me what it is. Don't, the biggest small little piece of advice. My biggest piece of advice about a small thing is don't put acronyms if I don't know what they are, right? Like, oh, I did Bob for 3 years. The heck is Bob? I don't know what Bob is. Your friend? Tell me what's going on. Tell me what you're involved in and how what that means to you and your involvement level and all the stuff that's out there. So please let us know that. William asks, what is the ideal number of AP or honors level courses for applicants? There is no ideal level. Every school is different. Have you engaged in hard classes at your high school? Yes or no? That's what's most important. And how does that compare to other students and their level of engagement? That's what's important, not a number. Well, Michelle, what is the experience for those who are undecided engineering? Thank you for that question, Michelle. I'll take this one. Undecided engineering is a way that you can apply to the university. It's a way you can be accepted to the Viterbi School of Engineering. It is not a way in which you can graduate. There is no such thing as a degree in undeclared engineering. There's no such thing as a curriculum for undeclared engineering. So the first thing that our advisors do when you're undeclared and admitted is they ask you, which one would you like to start in? And you go in that direction. And so undeclared engineering is there on the application. We put that there for you as somewhat of like an emergency parachute pull. If you're freaking out and you're like, I don't know, I've got all these options, they all sound cool. If they all equally sound cool, put down undeclared engineering. However, if you're debating between 2 or 3, you're not undeclared. You have an idea of what you're leaning into. And whatever sounds cool to you, go ahead. I would encourage you to put that down on the application. You're not affecting your chance either way, but I want you to be honest with yourself about your desires, about your interests, about where things are leaning in that direction. And keep in mind that your application is not asking you to commit to a major. More often than not, engineering students such as yourself are freaked out about commitment. We are not. We're not. We just want to know what sounds cool to you. What would you like to begin your studies in here at USC when you start? Reframe the question on the application to what's your first choice major to? What are the classes you want to start in here at USC that sounds cool to you? And when you get here, you'll take those classes. And after you're engaged in that for that first semester, you'll have a really strong confirmation of, yes, this is right, or no, this is not right. And then as Becky talked about earlier, you can switch easily. So don't overthink it. Just go for it, whatever sounds good to you. We got time for one last question. I'm not going to ask it. I'm going to give it to Lisa. She's going to pick a question. Wherever you want, Lisa, you go through that and everyone's going to decide whether they like you or not based on whether you pick their question. So no pressure, Lisa. It's on you. End it with a good one.
Too much pressure.
Should I play the Jeopardy theme song while we're waiting?
I like Rayhan's, which is inadvertently the very next question. I think it's an important one. It was a good one.
Okay.
I was surprised not more people asked.
Okay, Rayhan, how is financial aid if you're middle class, where we might not qualify a lot for waivers, but also not wealthy enough to pay for everything out of pocket, quote, parenthetical, especially considering a lot of rising housing living costs? I'm not going to get into people's self-definition of middle class. It's a whole other conversation. However, the best part about this is that this is a quantitative process that none of us have anything to do with. Need-based financial aid is the great equalizer across the country. So what you are going to do is you're going to apply to USC, get the application in, done, boom. Second, no matter what you believe your situation is, positive or negative, if your family has never applied for financial aid, I always recommend to give it one shot to see what's going to happen. Now, warning here it's going to involve your parents. It's also a highly invasive process because it's a process that starts with your tax returns and then asks for more information from you. Now, this is in your best interest because everything you're talking about here is basically it's trying to determine through these two documents, the FAFSA and the CSS profile. USC is trying to determine what your family's ability to pay for the tuition at USC is, or excuse me, the estimated cost of attendance at USC is going to be. And so the estimated cost of attendance is pop quiz. What's this upcoming year estimated cost of attendance? Oh, we're gonna have a big talk tomorrow, folks. It's roughly
tomorrow.
I'm just giving a hard time. It's tomorrow Saturday. I don't even know. It's roughly 80,000. You can look this up at the financial aid website. So if let's say it's $80,000 a year. That's the estimated cost of attendance where you have tuition, you've got housing, you've got expenses, books, etc. It's saying, okay, so this is the estimated cost of attendance. Through those documents, the financial aid office at USC does an excellent job of determining what your family's ability to pay is. And they determine what's called the estimated family contribution. And the estimated family contribution, let's say, just for our argument's sake here, is $25,000 a year, right? And so if it's 80,000 and your family can pay 25,000, then the financial aid office is going to award you need-based aid of, I just got corrected, it is 90,920. So it starts with 90,000, you can pay 25,000. Then the estimated family contribution is going to be, the the total gift, the financial aid is going to be around $65,000 they're going to give you. Now they're going to give it to you in three forms: a form of grant, which is free money you never have to pay back; loan; and work study program. And the grand majority of that is going to be the grant. And then there's going to be small loans, and then there's going to be a work study program, which means you get a job on campus, you get paid from that. Financial aid is extremely generous. However, it is based on a family's ability to pay. And that's where that's going to get into someone's subjective definition of ability to pay, because sometimes a family may need to, their ability to pay might be locked up in assets. So talk to the financial aid office about this. We have nothing to do with it. They are fantastic experts on this process. But at this point, all you have to do is apply. You apply to USC separately, you apply for financial aid. And I will tell you that we give out, USC as a university gives out 100% of our determined need of your ability to pay. And that is not true of most institutions. So that's one of the largest differences, is that when you go through this process and you're admitted, you will receive different financial aid packages at every university, because every university calculates a little bit differently what their ability, not only ability to pay is, but also how much of that need that they will commit to. And we will commit to 100% of that. So keep that in mind. I probably went deep on financial aid. Was there anything else we wanted to get into?
No, just if you have questions about financial aid, talk to them.
Talk to them. But I will tell you,
Yes.
yeah, I will tell you, not now. Get your application in, and get the financial aid application in, and then we'll see where it goes. And also, oh, that's what you want to talk about. You can do a little bit of this right now. You can have some quick estimates about this at usc.edu. Someone should put this in, usc.edu/NPC, or go to the financial aid website for the net price calculator. Every university has this, and it's a quick way to put in some things to see what your estimated financial aid could be, need-based financial aid could be. It's not exact, but it's a good roundabout for everyone to figure out how that goes. People are really scared at $90,000 a year, because who could pay $90,000 a year? There's very few people in the world who can. And the financial aid at USC, over 2/3 of our students are on some sort of financial aid. So keep that in mind, that this is often more affordable than you think, given our resources and financial aid. So please keep that in mind. All right. We went a little bit over, but I appreciate it. Lisa picked a really long one for us to answer as our last one. No matter what you're going to do, Lisa, it was going to be a bad choice, right?
No.
But I appreciate it. Becky, Lisa, Angie, thank you for joining me on our AMA. For all of you out there, thank you for joining us on this AMA. As a reminder, the deadline to apply is January 15th, 2024. Get it in by 11:59 p.m. in your time zone. Don't worry about what Common App says or how it's stamped. Other than that, we look forward to reading your application, reviewing your application, and all of our applications will receive decisions for admission, as long as they're complete, by the end of March. So right before that April 1st deadline, we will get those decisions out to you. So once you submit it, forget about it. Don't worry about it. And also, please try to let us do that work. Don't follow up with lots of other questions afterwards, because we can't really spend the time doing that as we're reading the applications, in addition to all of our colleagues in the Office of Admission. So thank you so much, folks. I hope you enjoyed the AMA, and we will see you hopefully sometime soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye.